Hey everybody, Nick Blazier here with another position analysis video on your Mondays and Thursdays. Keep expecting more of these, and I'm experimenting with some layout things based on some feedback from y'all. So thanks so much everyone leaving comments on the videos. Let me know what you like about it. It seems like we're covering some cool concepts together that people really need some like more clear analysis on, which is really exciting to me. Um, I really appreciate all that feedback, and I appreciate the feedback on like what's working well and stuff. Someone said maybe the board could be a little bigger. I don't know if this will look bigger in the video or not, but I got something to try. You guys can let me know if it's any better. Um, but yeah, what else do I have going? I still have my book still out there. Lots of cool reviews on Amazon about that. We're actually going to talk about some stuff that I cover in the book about match play. You'll notice this position as you digest it is at 2 away, 5 away. The leader has an interesting hit or not decision here. And this one was actually submitted to me by a fan, Matthew Adrian, I think, watching the videos and said he thought this would be a cool one to analyze and submitted a rollout to me and stuff like that. And to me, that's like my favorite kind of position to cover is one that someone specifically asks for some information about, right? So thank you so much for this really cool one. What else do I have coming up? I've got a bunch of interviews coming out too, if you haven't noticed. Just released Simon Barjett recently. We've got Dan Rivera and Ben Friesen, really exciting ones too. And coming up next is going to be Zdeněk Ziska on Friday. So definitely tune in for that. And I'm ready with Terje Peterson. Learned how to say his name of Heroes, and we'll kind of talk about the work he does on his site, and Reiner Burkle with the XG to Anki method too. So a lot of cool stuff to learn about. But okay, let's get into it. This is 2-1, and we're leading 2 away, 5 away. And the question is sort of like a gammon save question, right? Can we afford to hit this checker or not? And I talk about this in my book a little bit. At pure gammon save scores, we can think about not hitting a checker like this and just sitting on our winning chances for a little bit longer. But the issue being that we can't afford the gammons that happen when it goes wrong. And here we're going to have to leave two blots against the 3 point board. So certainly there's some downside to it. Um, and I mean, there's a whole bunch of gotchas in this position. And so I think the player over the board chose not to hit on this one. I'm going to jump over to the actual analysis now and show you that at this score we can still hit. And it's a little bit closer on plus plus, not too bad to avoid it. And we can see in the numbers, if you can see them on the screen there, that we do give up something like 10% more gammons, a little bit more with the hitting play, but we win so much more, almost a full 6% more. And so in normal backgammon, for sure, hitting is going to win enough more games to compensate for this, especially with a centered cube. There's probably not going to be that efficient of stuff going on. And but at pure gammon save, if the trade-off is exactly just 10% gammons for 6% wins, and gammons are worth the same as wins, then that's not worth it. But the important concept to learn about at 2 away, 5 away here is that 2 away, 5 away is not pure gammon save. The gammon value is not one. And so when, these are closer than they would be at normal score for money for sure. We can run that real quick and show it. They're actually still in the ballpark of kind of waiting it out because the gammons are costly, but it gets closer at the score. But but at not pure gammon save, it's hard to make an adjustment like this and choose not to hit when it wins so much more. It can be hard to come up with these numbers over the board, but as a simplification, what I recommend in the book is effectively like if you're not sure about it, like just don't adjust and make your money play. That's going to be the first level because it's hard to find ones where the situation's so specific that we deviate from a play that just wins more. Um, but what I guess what I thought was really interesting about this was, well, what about something more pure gammon save, like a 2 away, 4 away? Would that be enough to change it? And we could see like this score does work actually like pure gammon save. We could run it at both. And here now it's going to be a little bit too much to go for the hit. And this is the kind of score where we should camp out our position and play the holding game instead. And it has a lot to do with cube dynamics. We can show that afterward too. And this was kind of the follow-up problem that Matthew pointed out. Um, but yeah, so at a more pure gammon save score, now the trade-off is there, and this is the exact kind of position I cover in my book too. It's when we have a holding game, as like a rule of thumb, we can sit on the anchor and play out that mutual holding contact for a little bit longer and try to get into a race, rather than trying to make a decisive play for the win now. And it's hard to gauge exactly when you do this, but this is the kind of position where we would adjust. But so the big thing there to me being that at two-way, four-way, this is the kind of gammon save score. But at two-way, five-way, that's still enough different, even with the lead, because of the gammon values being lower than the full one. Um, you can check this all out in like XG settings and things like this, by the way, too. But yeah, the gammon value is less here, so we still go for the winning play. But the fun follow-up that Matthew had the question about was, well, after the hitting play, if we visualize this and put the final on the board, black as the trailer has something of a cube decision, don't they? Is there enough volatility here? How do we think about this one? Is this something that we want to send at the score? And so I can invert this and kind of show, we'll do it that way too. Yeah, so what would you do? This is the next position to kind of cover here. I can switch over and look at the full position here. I don't know if that's any bigger, but yeah. So so the volatility here, we have to try to make some guess like how we're doing, what the swing is on the rolls, and I see that there must be immediately a lot of return hits. They're perfectly unduplicated with entering numbers, right? We can't enter with a three or a six, and we do hit with a three or a six. I guess aces as well. So we're going to hit a lot, but it's not like decisive when we hit. I guess it's going to be a really good position where if our opponent does fan that quarter of the time, then we're going to be maybe too good at the score or something. There are going to be a lot of gammons available. So this is a lot easier puzzle to solve, I think, if like the 5 point is made and we already have a 4 point board and the hits are more decisive. This is a bit different with we can't really do both things. We can't make the board and hit. An interesting addition, I'm actually not like crystal clear on what I would do with entering aces, since if we find some way to cover the 5 points, well, our opponent still has a lot of pressure to clean up two blots on the next roll, and then we still have a holding game. And so there's a lot of ways that this can go. But that's the other factor I put into thinking about a cube decision here, is that I clearly have some upside on sending. I want to get in a cube before something really great happens. But what happens when I don't hit, and like what's the negative side of this? Well, I still have a 20-point holding game that I'm not so sad to have given away the cube in. My winning chances are still okay. With a third back, I guess I could be canceling some of opponents' gammons, but that's probably not going to happen too often. But that's the real risk of having a third back, and I should be able to enter deep and play for contact once it's the cubes on two and I don't have to worry about gammons. So I must have a lot of wins here even when I don't decide on this roll. And in scenarios like that, we can send the cube on that volatility a little more aggressively because we don't have the anti-jokers to worry about to counteract those jokers or market losers, right? Um, but okay, so enough of all that. We can take a look at what the rollout says at five-way, two-way, and it's like perfectly break even. We can send this cube. We're in a 50-50 game. We have almost 19% or 19% gammons, almost 20. And so this is a fun spot where we can send it. And again, we see a big score difference here that at five-way, two-way, well, we get the dead cube value, but our gammon value isn't quite as high, making this not like a super knockout cube. And it's still a bit of a question. But in general, that dead cube is going to be a good incentive to send something last roll-ish or volatile like this. Um, but I mean, it's more fun. We can also look at this at four-way, two-way, one where the gammons are sky high. And we're not going to ever, in a 50-50 game, really be in like a position where we'd think about passing it as white. But now this is a monster cube at a score like four-way, two-way, where we just need to get the upside of winning the match on hitting some like scenario going really well here. So this is a really fun kind of score scenario that we can get where there's a lot of dynamics going on, and it's really going to change the plays for money by quite a bit. For example, I mean, of course, if we ran this cube for money, this is going to be a beaver. So you're going to give up a lot of equity giving away the cube in a position as volatile as this. But positions where you're a huge equity underdog giving away the cube can be clear doubles at scores like four-way, two-way, as we see here. So, so yeah, this is a bit technical one. I don't know if everyone's always going to catch this one over the board. And it's not huge margins, especially at two-way, five-way that we're working with. We're not too far off if we play safe instead and adjust that way as we saw with the checker play. But it's a really good one to study to really see how these dynamics work out and the kinds of positions that we need to be really careful in at these kinds of asymmetric scores. It's really nice to have an anchor when you're leading, and it's really scary to make bold plays like this when you're leading as well. And in Black's shoes here, it's only scary for White to make these kinds of bold plays if you know how to take advantage of that with the cube. So White's not giving up that much by hitting at 4-away, 2-away. If you don't know to ship that cube right away, then they're maybe going to be too good or not get that valuable of a cube in anyway. So yeah, it's important to really know how to take full advantage of both sides there. I hope you guys found this one interesting, and I'll be back with more position analysis like I've been doing every Monday and Thursday. So let me know what you think about the format and stuff if that helped be able to see it or anything like that. I'll keep trying to make things better. And yeah, watch out for interviews and all that and other news I got going on my Facebook page. I'll be back soon. Bye, everybody.